What if? What if getting healthy, fit and strong was simple? What if it didn't take very much time? What if you didn't need pills, powders, potions and expensive programs, personal trainers, gyms? What if you could just be a healthy, fit, strong human being and you could do it in your own home? It's a really interesting question, and as an exercise professional all of my life, having managed health clubs all around the world all of my life, I've always been looking for what's the best way to get fit, get strong, be lean, be energetic, be healthy for the rest of your life without it taking too much time. Because the number one excuse that people use, I can't exercise, I haven't got time. But it's interesting and it's an important thing to consider. What happens if you don't exercise? What if you are inactive? You get fat, sick, weak, diseased, depressed. You get old really quickly. You have mental health challenges. The body rots away. The human body was meant to move. It was meant to be active. It was meant to be in the upright position. It's been suggested that the only two positions the human body should ever consider being in is lying down for sleeping and in the upright position for living your life. So when you consider the exercise programs, the information, the opinions about exercise, is it possible that most of it is BS? And as an old lady who's studied, trained, educated, every single day of my life now is a minimum of 2 hours of education about anatomy and physiology. And the reason for just anatomy and physiology and not all of the other rubbish is that if you understand how the human body works, if you understand the systems of the body and how everything works together, is it possible that you will be able to figure out for yourself what exercises are stupid, what eating plans are stupid, what opinions and social media influencing that we hear on a day-to-day basis is stupid, and what actually works? So that's what I do every day now, because I'm bombarded, like you are, with lots of different headlines on social media, and it seems that's where people now get their information. People are going to the gym with a robot. They're asking a robot, they're asking AI to tell them how to train. Now, obviously, AI is just a group opinion. What does everybody else think? And let's give you that information. But is an AI, is a robot, is a personal trainer, is an exercise physiologist, do they actually understand how the human body works? Or are they just regurgitating other people's opinions? Are they just regurgitating what they've heard from somebody else? And I hear this every day, and I'm sure you do too. They say that you should eat breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. They say you should do 3 sets of 10. They say that you should do 10,000 steps. They say that you should drink 8 glasses of water. And here's my question. All the things that you believe to be true, where did that information come from? Is it actually true? And if it is, what if there was a better, safer, quicker way to do it, even if the one that you believe to be true is working? What if there was a better way to do it? And how would you ever find out if you didn't question everything that you already know? It's a great quote, and I live by it every day. The biggest barrier to learning is already knowing. If you think you know already how to get fit, how to get strong, how to get lean, how the human body works, if you think you know that already, is it possible that that's the biggest barrier to learning more? And as an old lady, things have come in and out of fashion. Things have come in and out of what the scientists say. You should do this, and a year later or 10 years later, or for me, 40 years later, no, that's not true, you should now do this. And then 10 years later again, oh no, what we said in the beginning was right. Well, how would you know? So that's my very important question, I think, for every human being to ask. If you want to be healthy, fit, strong, lean, energetic, if you want to live a long time with quality of life, what do you need to do that? And the questions that I always ask, and I think there's 4 really important questions. Whatever you do, should you be able to demand a stack of energy all day, every day, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the morning if you're still awake? Should you be able to perform at your best, whatever you're doing, whether it's a parent, a teacher, a coach, it's your sport, it's your hobby, whatever it is that you're doing, should you be able to perform at your best because your brain works effectively and your body's working effectively? Should you love what you see in the mirror and love the way your body feels to touch? Do you want to have mental health when it comes to feeling good and looking good? And then are you getting the results that you want from whatever you're doing? And the reason I always ask that question, there's a lot of people that preach and carry on about how you should exercise and how you should eat. but they're not getting the results that they want. They don't look good, they don't feel good, they're not performing at their best, and they don't have a stack of energy all day, every day, but they're still preaching, you should do this. Well, I'm sick of hearing you should do this. My question is always, what do you want? And are you getting it? And if not, what do you have to do to make sure that you do? And even if you think you've got the right, even if you can say yes to those 4 things, I've got a stack of energy, I'm performing at my best, I love the way I look in the mirror, I'm getting the results that I want. What if there was a better way? What if there was a safer way? What if there was a quicker way? And I ask safer for a reason, because I know a lot of elite athletes who are really fit and really strong and really energetic, but they constantly get injured. And I always ask that question. What are you doing? What is your exercise program doing to you that you're constantly getting injured? Even if you do a dangerous sport, surely your training program should make your body really tough and really strong and resilient to injury. If you are fit and strong, you do recover quicker, but wouldn't it be nice to not get injured at all because your training program doesn't injure you? And if you have a look at most exercise programs in most gyms and personal training studios, and on most sporting fields, when you watch athletes train, if those same movements were in a warehouse or on a work site, they would be against workplace health and safety rules because they're dangerous. They wreck your body, wreck your joints. So why would you give somebody in training a dangerous, risky, harmful exercise? Oh, because we're replicating what they do in their sport. Yes, in their sport, there's a possibility that their joints could get wrecked. So let's not wreck them in their training session. That's always my headspace. So because I study the human body every single day, and the most important 2 systems I think is the endocrine system and the central nervous system, because they're the driving force for everything else. They drive the skeletal and muscular system. They drive the respiratory and cardiovascular system. They drive the immune system. They drive the digestive system. You've got to make sure that everything's working together. And again, I'm in my begging position. You've got to live in your body for the rest of your life. If you don't know how it works, if you're relying on other people's opinions, if you're relying on social media or AI or a robot or a personal trainer or a gym owner or somebody with ripped abdominals or an elite athlete, how do you know that they're right? How do you know that their program won't wreck your joints, won't screw up your endocrine system, won't give you slower results than you could possibly get? And the only way you'll ever know that, of course, is to study the human body for yourself. With an open mind. The biggest barrier to learning is already knowing. So there's a lot of experts out there, and I deal with different experts every day, of course, because I'm an exercise professional, and it's been the biggest challenge of my career, because one expert will say this, an exercise physiologist or a neuroscientist or an endocrinologist will say, you should do this. And then exactly the same qualification, professor, neuroscientist, exercise physiologist, same qualification, will say exactly the opposite. So 2 people with the same qualification, supposedly experts, now you're stuck in the middle. Which one's right? And the only way to figure it out, of course, is to work it out for yourself. How does this skeletal and muscular system work? What's happening at the joint? Will I wreck my joint if I do that exercise? Will I overtrain if I do that particular program? Will that screw up my digestive system if I eat that way? And how would you know that if you didn't study for yourself? So we're growing up in a world now, and I'll rephrase, our kids are growing up in a world now where as adults, we are the living, breathing example of what their future is going to be like. And I always ask that, it's a very controversial question, but if you are a teacher, a coach or a parent, can your kids, the kids in your life, look at you and say, I want a life like that? He or she is healthy, fit, strong, lean, energetic. They don't waste their time exercising. They don't do fanatical exercise programs. They don't have a stupid eating plan that nobody could ever stick to. They are just living their life. Their body is healthy, fit and strong. They're energetic. They're happy and positive. They're mentally tough and strong. And that, even as I say that, as those words come out of my mouth, that actually sounds like a unicorn. How many people do you know that are healthy, fit and strong? They're lean and energetic and have been all of their life. They don't diet, they don't do fanatical exercise. They just have a healthy, fit, strong body because they live by common sense and logic and they don't do stupid stuff. And we are now being bombarded more and more and more and more every day with stupid stuff, and I don't want to get caught up in that. I don't want kids to get caught up in that. So that's why I'm here every single day. What do you need to do to be healthy, fit, strong, lean, energetic for the rest of your life? How do you make sure that you get And it's this simple, and I repeat this over and over. It is really this simple. Get puffed to get fit. Lift heavy to get strong. Do it safely so that you don't get injured. Do it quickly so you don't get bored, and you want to get your results quickly so that you stay motivated. Everything else past that should be based on how the human body works. And if an exercise program is taking a long time, if it's unsafe, if it doesn't, and most of the exercise programs that you look at, you can actually look at them and say, that looks ridiculous. If I did that in the workplace, I would get sued from a workplace health and safety officer because that's dangerous for the human body. Yet you go into a gym or you go into a personal training studio and people are throwing weights around and they're throwing their body around and they're twisting their body into all sorts of weird positions. How about this? Upright position for being a human being that's awake, and lying down position for a human being that's asleep, and everything else is ridiculous. If you exercise on your knees or on your bum, or you are lying down on the ground exercising, you don't exercise lying down, you sleep lying down. You don't kneel, you don't sit. If you sit, you take out the biggest muscles in your body. See, they're just common sense. And then the things that we are taught or brainwashed with or believe, even if they're true, how do you know they're true? Why is it 10,000 steps? Why is breakfast the most important meal of the day? Why do most people do 3 sets of 10? Where did that all come from? And is it possible that most of the things that we believe are just somebody else's opinion that's been repeated over and over and over? And that's, again, one of my favourite quotes when it comes to the human body. 50 million people doing a dumb thing doesn't mean it's not a dumb thing. So how about find out for yourself? So I will never, as an exercise professional and as the owner of an exercise and business college, I will never tell people how to exercise or how to run their business. I want people to learn how to think for themselves. How do you know that that's going to work? Study, analyze, train, logical thinking, critical thinking. Why would I do that, and how would it work? Figure it out for yourself rather than believing other people, because there's plenty of people out there that are telling us absolute rubbish. I've had to learn that the hard way, and that's why now I question absolutely everything. I want to be healthy, fit and strong for the rest of my life, lean and energetic, and be able to do all the things that I want to do. How about you? So if you want to live your life to the max, how about learn how your body works? Because your body is the only thing you've got to live in. It's the only thing that's going to take you through your whole life. So learn how it works so you can live your life to the max. Super duper doo, how are you? Living my life to the max. Love being in this my home gym. Look at it, love it. Woohoo!